Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a little bit of a dive into the Ghoti archetype. We haven't visited this one in a while, for good reason. It's not very good, okay? But recently there's been some new support out for water monsters in general from Rage of the Abyss, and that is with the new Mermail and Atlantean cards. So I actually believe that these cards can serve as starters for your Ghoti engine, and we're actually going to take a look at how we can play the Ghoti cards in the mainline Mermail Atlantean deck. Now, this is going to be a minimal Ghoti package, I'll tell you right up front. If you're looking for more of a pure Ghoti list, this is not the profile, but I think that if you want to play Ghoti cards in any competitive-ish Yu-Gi-Oh deck, this format, this is the way to do it. So let me go ahead and talk you through my list and the mainline combo. There's a mainline full combo and there's a combo into Fuvaros, and I will go through both of those in this video after the deck profile. So before we start the deck profile, a quick refresher on how the Ghoti cards work, because if you don't know, understandable. It's kind of like an unseen archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! And for a more complete breakdown, I do have a full intro to Ghoti guide. But what you need to know in this particular video is that all Ghoti combos revolve around summoning out this level 6 synchro monster. Okay, this level 6 guy, already on post, banishes a fish from your deck. The Ghoti main deck cards are fishes that, if they're banished, get effects. Notably, the level 2 tuners come back from the banish zone on your opponent's turn, and then they can quick synchro on your opponent's turn. The stuff we want to quick synchro into are Oscon, which is the level 8. That can target a fish you control and any card your opponent controls and banish both. And then also Ghoti the Deep Beyond, the level 10, which will banish the entire field. And then Ghoti the Deep Beyond will come back on your following standby phase with a lot of attack points. So essentially we can proc both Oscon and Ghoti the Deep Beyond and any other interruptions we set up in order to facilitate an OTK on turn 3 a little bit better. Alright, so that's the whole goal of the Ghoti portion of the deck, is to summon our Arion Post to get our tuners banished. A nice thing about this is it plays through Fuvaros pretty well. All of our interruptions are going to just be set up by one Arion Post, and then all of this other stuff comes on our opponent's turn. So it's kind of a nice little bonus of playing the Ghoti cards. So we're going to go through the main deck here. This main deck is 50 cards. I'm going to tell you straight up. And that's because there are so many engine requirements you have to play to manage this Ghoti build that you just want to dilute the bricks with more starters and more non-engine. So I'm playing 50 here. I think I'm maximizing all of our starter cards and then playing the most solid non-engine I could put into this deck, and then try to minimize the number of bricks we're playing. So let's go ahead and talk through this main deck really quick. So to start off, we're going to go with our starters here. We'll start with our 1-card starters, which are going to be 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva and 3 copies of Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince. So basically, Diva is a starter because it gets you to Neptibus from your deck. Neptibus is the true starter. Neptibus is basically what every Mermail Atlantean deck revolves around. It can send an Atlantean from your deck to the graveyard as cost, which effectively triggers whatever effect that Atlantean has. And then on resolution, it gets to search another Atlantean to your hand. So it's super plus. It's basically what all of your combos revolve around, is resolving this Neptibus. The other main card that combos revolve around is going to be Abyss Rhine, which is the new Mermail card, or the new Atlantean card out of Rage of the Abyss. This one can send itself and any Mermail or Atlantean card, tribute them as cost, and then summon or search any level 7 Sea Serpent, Aqua, or Fish monsters. So notably, this plays through Shifter because it just tributes. It does not have to go to the graveyard, and it summons out basically one of the best boss monsters of the main deck, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I decided to max out on this card because getting to that boss monster will get you into your whole Ghoti combo, which is going to be super important. The next card we're going to play is 3 copies of Mermail Shadow Squad. This is another new card out of Rage of the Abyss. When this one is sent to the graveyard as cost to activate a water monster's effect, it can summon out any level 4 or lower Mermail or Atlantean card. So basically, we want to send that card off of Neptibus, and then we can basically summon out whatever we need from the deck. 3 copies of Atlantean Dragoons. Dragoons, similar to Shadow Squad when it's sent as cost, will search something to your hand, specifically a Sea Serpent. And Dragoons is also notably not once per turn, so there's ways to get multiple Dragoons going in the same turn and basically keep your hand advantage up, because basically all of your cards require you to send water monsters from your hand to the graveyard as cost. So the more that we add water monsters to our hand, the more times we can activate effects, and it's all going to work out well from here. Next card is going to be 3 copies of Mermail Abyss Pike. This is a level 4 fish monster, which is important to the Ghoti strategy. This one on summon can discard any water to search a level 3 water. Notably, we're going to be searching Abyss Rhine, which is a level 3, or Mermail Shadow Squad, which is also a level 3. So those are going to be our main search targets, and basically Abyss Pike will guide us to whichever one that we need to continue our plays. And it being a fish is important for our Ghoti lines, so yeah, it's super clutch that this is a fish as well. The next card we're going to play is another starter, is going to be Mermail Abyss. So this is a level 7, summons itself by discarding a water monster from your hand, and then on summon it can search a level 4 or lower Mermail. So basically Abyss is going to be our way to trigger our Dragoons or our Shadow Squad, or our Neptibus has another discard effect as well, or any other Atlanteans from our hand, or just water monsters that we don't want to be in our hand. And then in exchange, we're going to get an Abyss Pike, we're going to get an Abyss Rhine, or we're going to get a Shadow Squad. All 3 of those are searchable off of Abyss, so it basically gets us to whatever piece we want. The next card is going to be similar to Abyss. We're playing 2 copies of Ice Jade Ranagrin, which, just like Abyss, discards a water monster to summon itself, and then on summon will summon a level 3 token as well. And then Ranagrin is a tuner, a level 7 tuner, so itself plus the level 3 token is already a level 10 synchro monster. And it has to be a water synchro, but that's okay. We have some pretty good level 10 water synchros to play. And yeah, essentially we want to play this one because it's just another way to discard Dragoons, discard Shadow Squad, discard Neptibus to get our plays going. And we always want to have a discard outlet for our Atlantean cards that will get us into our plays. Okay, next part of the deck is going to be my least favorite visually, but we have to play a lot of one-ofs in this deck in order for it to function. So we're going to start off with the last remaining Atlantean card, which is 1 heavy infantry. When this card is discarded, you can target a face-up monster on the face-up card on the field and destroy it. So this one is actually nice to search because our Abyss Rhine will allow us to discard this on our opponent's turn. So that's going to be a form of interruption. And notably a form of interruption through Fuvaros, where we can just set that up in the main deck, don't have to go through any extra deck pieces to get there. The next card is going to be 1 Deep Sea Minstrel. This one is going to allow us to look at our opponent's hand and discard, banish a card until the end phase. I'm only on 1 of this in this particular build, just because we need to, playing the Ghoti cards has a high cost, essentially, of we're not getting pluses everywhere that a normal Mermail Atlantean deck would, so we can't really afford to just lose the Minstrel plus another card to look at our opponent's hand. We kind of just have to play through. You do want to play 1 because it's a search target for Dragoons, since it's a Sea Serpent, and sometimes you want to search with Dragoons another discard outlet. So certainly important to play 1, but it is searchable, and I think we're going to keep it at that. The next one is going to be a copy of Lapis Dragon. So this one is a Sea Serpent that when it's added to your hand can special summon itself. And this one used to be played pretty heavily in the Mermail Atlantean deck before Rage of the Abyss, but then it kind of fell off in the main builds nowadays. But for this particular build, it's very important because it's a level 5 tuner that will summon itself out. And then we have a Neptibus, which is a level 1 non-tuner, and everything in the Ghoti deck revolves around summoning out this level 6 synchro monster to start your play. So this is one path to getting to a level 6. We have to play the Lapis Dragon. The next card we're going to play is 1 Mulinglacia. This is going to be a really nice combo piece where you can summon this card out if you have 5 water monsters in your graveyard, exactly 5. And then when it's summoned, your opponent has to discard 2 cards randomly, which is an insane payoff. So this is a super nice piece to play. It is kind of a brick. You don't want to open this because it's a Sea Serpent. You can search it with Dragoons, and it's one of your main search targets there. So generally prefer not to open that. We just want to search it. Here's that boss monster I was talking about earlier. This is Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth. This is a level 7 fish that we can summon straight out of the deck with Abyssrine. And this one can discard a card to summon as many fish from the deck as possible. So that's going to allow us to summon out our Abyss Pikes. It's going to allow us to summon out our Armored Shark, which is another piece that is going to be just like an additional body in the hand, which we can search through the extra deck, some of our extra deck pieces. And then Deep Sea King will also allow us to summon out our Ghoti cards. So that's where I am right here. The last three monsters in the main deck in terms of engine are going to be Schiff, Zep, and Seeks. So I'm playing a very minimal Ghoti engine because this is the minimum engine you need to set up the Ghoti of the Deep Beyond play. There are other Ghoti cards that I am choosing not to play, notably Snopios and Paces. The reason I'm not playing these guys in this particular build is because we don't have an engine that can kind of dump one and banish the other. For example, in the pure Ghoti list, you usually have Lifeless Leaf Fish to Foolish one of these, and then you have Arion Post to banish the other one. And this one, you are just going to rely on the Arion Post to get to your whole Ghoti engine, and we're not going to want to open any of these, so we're going to minimize playing these Ghoti cards. Essentially, we're going to commit to doing a Ghoti combo once, and then we're going to have to finish the game with the MERMAIL Atlantean engine and just be fine with that. So that's where I'm at with the Ghoti cards. That's why I'm only on these particular three. Shift we're going to banish on our turn. Zep we're going to banish on our opponent's turn, and that will allow us to synchro summon twice on our opponent's turn and get us the full board wipe banish. Okay, so that's going to wrap up for the main deck monster engine. Let's go ahead and I guess we'll just go right on top with these spells. So the two spells I want to play here are Deep Sea Aria. So this is a searcher for sea serpents, a level 4 or lower. And the cost is to banish a water from your graveyard. The particular reason I really like this is because it allows you to reactivate your Ghoti cards in turn 3. And also a lot more cards now are able to discard a water monster to the graveyard. So you are set up with this Deep Sea Aria cost. But like I'm not sure on this card, but I think in theory that it should be really nice. So I'm gonna play 2, and these were the last 2 cards I added, honestly, to round the deck out to 50. And I just wanted to add a little bit more consistency here. So I thought Ario was going to be pretty clutch. So we're going to go with that. The next engine spell card we're going to play is Abyssing Triana, which is searchable by one of the link monsters in the deck. This is basically just Monster Reborn for an Atlantean or Mermail. Yeah, it's just a nice extender. The rest of the cards are going to be non-engine. I believe I have 14 or so here. And this first card is going to be Honorary Engine, which is Crossout Designator. So if you're not familiar with the Ghoti strategy, it all revolves around banishing your Ghoti cards on your turn so they can come back on your opponent's turn. The really cool thing about Crossout is that even if it's kind of dead, your opponent doesn't activate any hand traps, or you don't have the hand trap to match, you can cross out your own Ghoti cards to banish them, and they will still come back on your opponent's turn. So this is effectively kind of like a Ghoti starter, which is pretty clutch. And like Crossout is obviously very good with the MERMAIL Atlantean deck because there's a lot of cards that can affect us pretty hard. So we're going to go ahead and play the 3 Crossouts here. We're also going to play the 1 Called by the Grave. Obviously we want to max out on whatever to stop our opponent from hand trapping us in vital positions. And then we're going to play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Dominus Impulse, which I picked up, but if you don't have these, don't worry about it. Just play different hand traps. I'll show you the last 2 I'm playing are Droll and Veiler. I'm playing 1 of each just for Crossout, but if you want, you can swap out these impulses for something like Ghost Ogre, Nibiru. Just play a little bit more variety of hand traps, so Crossout is more live, but obviously Impermanent Ash are the best ones. And then you can swap out these impulses for whatever you want if you don't have them. But clearly in this deck, every single monster I'm playing is water. So we are going to want to play Impulse if you have it. Okay, that rounds out our main deck of 50 cards. Now let me go through my extra deck, and then we can go through a couple combos to show how we can actually take advantage of having these Ghoti cards in our list, because they really crank out some cool tools that otherwise it would not be accessible in the MERMAIL Atlantean deck. And now let's talk about our Ghoti extra deck cards. Okay, so we're playing just one of each Ghoti synchro right here, one Arion Post, one Oscon, and one Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. If you guys don't really know what Ghoti cards do or are a little unfamiliar, let me try to refresh you. So we have Arion Post, which is our starter of the Ghoti deck, which is weird because it's in the extra deck, but realistically it's our starter. Once it's summoned out, it can banish any fish from your deck. And that's really how we get our Ghoti tuners banished. It's just banishing straight off with Arion Post. And then if you don't know, Ghoti tuners come back on our opponent's turn, and then they allow us to quick synchro summon during the main phase. So Arion Post basically sets up a quick synchro summon. Arion Post is a level 6. Our Ghoti tuners are level 2. So clearly we need a level 8 synchro to quick synchro into. And that's where Oscon comes in. Oscon, when it's summoned, can target a fish you control and any card your opponent controls, banish them both, which is super clutch. Banishing is a really strong, effect, obviously. And then we have our last card here, which is Ghoti of the Deep Beyond, which is a level 10 synchro. There are ways to get into the level 10. More, obviously if we have a level 6 plus our level 2 tuner, there's more of the combo to do to get another level 2 tuner, so we can go with an 8 plus a 2 tuner into a level 10. Ghoti of the Deep Beyond is the whole point of the Ghoti strategy. If it's synchro summoned on our opponent's turn, it banishes the entire field, which is really cool. And then this will come back on our next standby phase, and it gains 500 attack for every banished card. So it's pretty easy to OTK if you are able to resolve this, and if your opponent has weak follow-up after that, you can clearly finish the game if you have the right setup. So yeah, Ghoti of the Deep Beyond, pretty clutch. We'll go through a couple combos, a couple Ghoti combos here to show you how to actually summon that out. Our remaining synchro monsters are going to be one white aura whale. So our Ghoti tuners can synchro summon into any fish synchro monsters. So we can go Arion Post into white aura whale instead of the Oscon. White aura whale on summon is basically lightning storm. It just destroys all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. And then it also does piercing damage into every defense position monster your opponent controls. So this one's a little bit more aggressive. I would say you would make white aura whale on your own turn if you have the opportunity, whereas on your opponent's turn, probably Oscon is the way to go because you can get into Deep Beyond through Oscon. We have two more synchros, which are going to be our level 10s. It's one Ice Jade Gamir Agrin and one Chen Ying, the Sword Soul synchro monster. These are both water monsters, which are super clutch, right? But yeah, these are level 10s. We make them on our own turn only because, like I said, the Ghoti tuners have to summon fish, and these are not fish. But we can make these with follow-up Ghoti plays or with the Ice Jade Ran Agrin play, which summons itself out as a level 7 plus a level 3 token. So this guy can make either Gamir Agrin or Chen Ying. And then the nice thing about Chen Ying is we have a lot of things that banish now that we're playing Ghotis. So we can resolve the Chen Ying as well. It's easier to proc the Chen Ying effect. All right, that wraps up the synchro monsters. Now let's get into the links. The extra deck is a little bit tight because obviously we have to fit in these four or so Ghoti cards. I think if you're going to cut anything, we can cut either Gamir Agrin or Chen Ying here, but I like to play them both for the toolbox ability, but that comes at the cost of toolbox ability of our Lynx and Xyz monsters. So I like 2 Coral Anemone, one of the new Link 3, Mermail King Neptibus, and then one Zealantis, and that's going to round out our Link monsters here. Choosing not to play the Mermail Link 2, which was, Abysslacia. I'm choosing not to play this. I'm choosing not to play Bubble Reef as well. These are techs you can play, but we just don't have the room simply. So I'm just going to go with these. The reason I like 2 Coral Anemone is because I usually make one on turn 1. And then I like to have one on turn 3 as well to be able to get into Zealantis easier. And wipe our opponent's board in that way as well. So I think just having 2 is super convenient. That's those, and now our final monsters in the extra are going to be all Xyz monsters. So Bahamut Toad, of course. Then we have Xyz's Armor Fortress. It's just super good for not only keeping up your card advantage in hand by searching Armor Shark, but also by putting the correct number of water monsters in the graveyard to summon Moulin Glacia. It does come up sometimes where, like, if you link off Bahamut Shark, it's too many monsters in the grave. So we need to make the Armor Fortress to detach one material. It comes up in the combo. And then the last two cards are Abyss Gaios and Poseidra. Abyss Gaios, unfortunately, is the most expensive part of this deck, I think, just because it's low on prints. We'll see if it gets one in the Bonanza reprint set, but yeah, I think that is going to round out our extra deck here with 15 cards. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for the deck profile. Now let's get into a couple of the combos. First of all, let's refresh our memory here on what our actual goal of the combo is. For Ghoti in particular, we need to summon out this level 6 guy. Okay, there are a few ways to do that. And, well, I mean, I can go through them all right now. We can do that with Neptibus plus Lapis Dragon. Okay, this is one way to do it. We can do it with a Deep Sea Diva plus a Abyss Pike. And that's another way to do it. And then we can do it with through the Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth, which can also summon out Abyss Pike, plus one of our Ghoti tuners, specifically Schiff. So yeah, these are the three ways to synchro summon into Arianpos. All three of them are pretty searchable via our starters, but we're only really going to go through this Neptibus line. We might go through a second line, but you'll see that the Neptibus and the Deep Sea Diva line are pretty similar in how we get there. But let's go ahead and start off with our Neptibus combo. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with our bread and butter one card combo, which starts with Neptibus the Atlantean Prince. It's going to be pretty similar. If we have Diva getting into Neptibus, it might change like when you summon Moulin Glacia, but other than that, it's going to be the same. So let's go ahead and normal summon our Neptibus. We're going to activate its effect to send an Atlantean from the deck to the grave. We're going to send Mermail Shadow Squad, which is treated as an Atlantean card as well. And that can search us any Atlantean card. So we're going to search us a Dragoons. This combo is going to start off a lot like the pure Mermail Atlantean deck, but we're going to mix in some Ghoti in there later on, don't worry. Shadow Squad, when it's sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, can summon any level 4 or lower Mermail or Atlantean from your deck. So we're going to summon out our Mermail Abyss Pike here. Abyss Pike, when it's summoned, can discard a water to search any level 3 water. So we're going to discard that Dragoons to search us the Abyss Rhine. Now Dragoons, because it was sent to activate an effect, can search us any Sea Serpent, so we're going to search us a Moulin Glacia here. Now if we're under Fuvaros, instead of the Moulin Glacia, we're going to go for the Lapis Dragon instead, and that can summon us out from its hand, and then we can go for Arianpos. But because we're going for full combo, we're not under Fuvaros or anything like that, let's just grab the Moulin Glacia because it will get us a better ending. Okay. From here, we're going to activate Abyss Rhine, tributing itself plus any Atlantean or Mermail from hand or field to summon or search a level 7. So we're going to tribute off the Neptibus off of our field to summon out our Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth. We want to put this under the extra monster zone. It will come up later. And now because Neptibus was tributed off, for a water monster's effect, we can summon any Atlantean from our graveyard. So we're going to summon out our Dragoons here. Now, Dragoons plus Abyss Pike, we're going to overlay, and we're going to keep in the main monster zone in this particular case. I know, like, just follow along. We're going to summon it in the main monster zone. Even though it clogs one up for Coelacanth, it's actually better for what the combo will end up with. So we're going to overlay for Bahamut Shark. We're going to detach the Dragoons for the Bahamut Shark, and that's going to allow us to summon out a Toad. Okay, and now Dragoons, because it was sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. That's right, it activates if you detach it from an Xyz monster also. We're going to summon or search out a Sea Serpent. And for this one, we're going to search out Atlantean Heavy Infantry, because that's going to provide us an additional disruption on our opponent's turn. From here, we're going to activate our Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth effect by discarding any card that's not a water card. Now, remember, we started with just one card, the Neptibus. We have 4 other cards in hand. there's probably one hand trap. Let's assume we have an imperm. The only difference is like when you summon out Moulin Glacia. If you only have water monsters, then we're going to summon this Bahamut Shark up in the extra monster zone and then summon out the Moulin now. But, you know, it's going to be fine. You know, just do it this way. Discard your imperm, discard your Dominus Impulse if you have to. Let's just get the water monster count right. Discard 1 to summon out 2 fishes from the deck. Now, we want to only summon out 2 here because we want all the other fishes in our deck are going to be searched later on. So it's going to be beneficial for us to only summon out the 2. From here, we're going to overlay into the extra monster zone with for Xyz's Armor Fortress, and now we can detach a Mermail Abyss Pike to search out the Armored Shark from our deck. So that's why we didn't want to summon out more extra fishes, is because we're going to be able to search them. I'd rather have them in our hand than on the field at this particular time. And now we have 5 waters in the graveyard, so we can go ahead and summon out that Moulin Glacia here and discard 2 randomly out of our opponent's hand, which is super nice. From here, we can go ahead and synchro these guys off for the Arianpos. We'll put it over here, and now Arianpos can activate to banish any fish from our deck. We're going to banish our copy of Seeks. So Seeks is banished. Once it's banished, it can summon itself back out by banishing any fish. So we can go ahead and banish Abyss Pike here. And now when it's summoned, it can search any fish and banish any fish. So we're going to go ahead and search out our Abyss Pike and then banish our Armored Shark. So that's why we didn't want to summon these guys out. These were our last fishes in deck that we can summon out with Coelacanth. That and Zep, the 3rd Ghoti monster, but we don't want to summon that one out right now either. So we want to get these to hand. That's why we needed to leave them in the deck, clog up our zones on purpose. Okay, so we're going to search Pike. We're going to banish the Armored Shark here. And now Pike serves as follow-up for next turn. From here, we can go ahead and link off our Bahamut Shark plus our Armor Fortress plus our Coelacanth for our copy of Coral Anemone. Here we go, and now we can activate Coral to summon out any water monster with less than 1500 attack. We're going to summon out our Shadow Squad here. Before we use our Shadow Squad, we're going to go ahead and link off our Coral plus our Seeks into a copy of Mermail King Neptibus. There we go. And now we can activate our Shadow Squad, discard any water monster to make all waters we currently control level 7 until the end of the turn. So we're going to discard our Abyss Pike to make everything level 7. Now that we've discarded something for cost, Mermail King Neptibus can activate to search us one of the equip spells. So we're going to search our copy of the Triana. And this is basically Monster Reborn, which I think we're going to save for follow-up in this particular case. And now we want to go ahead and overlay these guys for our copy of Mermail Abyss Gyos. One last action is to banish our Shift, targeting our Arianpos to give it 500 attack. The attack doesn't matter, but we do need to get our Shift banished. We could have also just banished it earlier off of Seeks. But yeah, this also works. Okay, so now that's our end board. Let's look at what we have. We have a Toad, negate. We have an Abyss Gyos, negate. We have Atlantean Heavy Infantry in hand with a Abyss Rhine in the graveyard. So Abyss Rhine can discard the infantry on our opponent's turn to draw a card. So we'll have a discarded pot. And then we have a Triana for follow-up. We have whatever Toad adds back for follow-up. We have 3 more cards in hand we haven't used. And then on our opponent's turn, standby phase, Shift comes back. All right, let's go through the Ghoti combo on our opponent's turn just a little bit. So Shift can activate during the main phase to quick synchro. We're going to activate Shift. We're going to synchro using our Shift plus our Arianpos to summon out a Oscan. Oscan, when it's banished, can banish another fish from the graveyard to summon itself back out. So we're going to banish the Seeks that way, summon itself back out. Seeks, when it's banished, can summon itself out by banishing another fish. So we're going to banish out our Shift again, so it will come back on our standby. And then we can use Seeks effect on summon to search a fish, banish a fish. So we're going to search the Zep, banish the Zep. Zep, when it's banished, will come back immediately. And Zep, unlike Shift, has to synchro summon right when it's summoned. So we can use Zep plus Oscon or Zep plus Seeks to summon either Deep Beyond or White Aura Whale. Okay, so typically we're going to go for Deep Beyond. Chances are we've already burned all of these things, so it's okay to banish them all. And we'll have whatever follow-up from Toad when it went to the graveyard. So let's go ahead and Zep plus Oscon into a Deep Beyond, banish the entire field. Chances are our opponent was already down 2 cards, which I forgot to mention is part of our end board. Our opponent was down to 4 cards then. We have a Toad negate, a Biscos negate, a pop, and a full field banish. So, like, there's no shot that we're losing that game if we can resolve this combo. And yeah, that's like the bread and butter, I guess, the mainline Ghoti combo compared to the mainline Ghoti combo that we're going to be able to get into as many interruptions as possible. Now let's take a look at another advantage of Ghoti, which is playing through or playing under a Fuvaros. That's kind of one of the weaknesses of the pure Mermail Atlantean deck, is that if you get hit with Fuvaros, you're kind of limited, or it's kind of yikes, you know, because you're kind of a full combo deck. And that's exactly what Fuvaros is trying to stop. But let's see what the Ghoti, by playing the Ghoti cards, what we can do here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start again with our normal summon of Neptibus. Neptibus effect. We haven't gotten Fuvaros yet. Neptibus effect, we're going to proceed blindly. We don't know if they have it. We're going to send our Shadow Squad to search our Dragoons. Great. And now we're going to activate Shadow Squad effect to summon from deck. And at this point, our opponent activates Fuvaros. Okay, so we have to play into it at least once because we've already activated. We're going to summon out our Abyss Pike here. Our opponent is going to draw 1. Then we're going to still use our Pike effect. We're going to discard our Dragoons here to search a level 3 water. So in this case, we're going to still search our Abyss Rhine. And then our Dragoons can activate to search a Sea Serpent. So we're going to add our copy of Lapis Dragon here. Lapis, when it's added to hand, can special summon. So notably, it doesn't summon from the deck. It gets added to the hand and then summoned from the hand. So bad into Perulia, but good into Fuvaros. From here, before we Synchro Summon, we're going to activate our Abyss Rhine, sending our Abyss Pike, and that will be able to search or summon a level 7 from the deck. Because we're under Fuvaros, we don't want to summon anything, so we're just going to search out some follow-up, and that's going to be our copy of Abyss Teus or the Ran Agron, whichever one you think is going to be better in this particular scenario. But let's just say it's Teus. And now we can go ahead and Synchro Summon here, giving our opponent one more draw. But we're going to set up our Ghoti combo for full board banish still. We're going to set up Ariampos. Our opponent's going to draw a second time. Ariampos effect on summon is going to banish the Seeks just like last time. Seeks, when it's banished, can summon itself out by banishing any fish from our graveyard, and that's why it's important that we got through Abyss Pike, because we have the fish ready to go for Seeks. Seeks, when it's summoned, can search and banish a fish, so we're going to search out the Schiff and banish the Schiff. Alright, that's gonna, and then we can basically end our turn there. We have 4 more cards in hand plus Abyss Teus, and then we also have Abyss Rhine here, like on our opponent's turn to draw. If we, for some reason, have heavy infantry in hand, that's another interruption. Or if we, some reason, already have Mulinglacia in hand, that's also a discard too, because we have exactly 5 monsters in our graveyard here to allow us to resolve that. So let's say if we had Teus, if we had like another Dragoons in hand, we could search out the Mulinglacia and just like kind of go off even more a little bit. So we would still have some pretty nice follow-up and pretty nice combo through the Fuvaros there. But anyway, at the very least, we have this still the 2-card combo with Seeks coming, or with Shift coming back, and then it's the same Ghoti combo that we already talked about during the main line full combo. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up there because this video is getting kind of long. If you guys want to see more Ghoti combos, more Mermail Atlantean Ghoti, let me know in the comments below and leave a like on the video. I'd like to see this video get 100 likes at least if I'm going to do more combos, because I don't know how many people are actually watching Ghoti videos. But I hope some, you know, because it's a cool concept, cool deck and stuff like that. And I always like messing around with like the rogue strategies. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And with that, we'll see you in the next one. We'll see you soon.